So surprisingly, people can still contact me, despite the fact that this channel has made no attempt to publicize itself or to enable comments or even voting. And I guess I better cover right now why that is and what this is about. Um, the fact is that these videos are primarily for my students, and being an open, loving person, I'm making them available to anybody who happens to search or click on them if they are so inclined, and I hope that it benefits them. But to invite a lot of scrutiny based on that is not something that benefits either me or my students. The kind of content I'm presenting doesn't really benefit by criticisms and scrutiny. I'm a coach. I'm not a participant or competitor in a tournament. If people don't care for what I'm saying or have some, super issue with it, there are lots of coaches. Some of these websites have pages and pages and pages of coaches that will accept lots of money from you. And the fact is that I coach for free. I don't accept money. And people who have asked me to coach them, or, there's been situations where they want to pay me, I've turned down. So I do this. I'm an independent individual who has done something else with his life than play chess. And so it kind of boils down to the vast majority of questions and criticisms boil down to, does the emperor have clothes? And I guess my answer to that is, the emperor has clothes. They demand to know if I'm a GM, and which is a superfluous question because there are just a handful of GMs that can do a decent job of teaching. If you listen to them and you listen to their videos, some of them are great teachers, like Melick, Ben Feingold. These people are fantastic teachers. A lot of GMs are like PhDs. Being a mathematician myself, I got to rub elbows with many PhDs who couldn't match their own socks. They're the most brilliant people in the world, and they can barely finish a sentence. So these people are practically incapable of dealing with you on the level that you should be dealt with. Unless, of course, you're another GM, in which case they'll probably just insult you anyway. So my feeling is that the fact that I'm not a GM, in that, the highest I got was well into the 2000s, but that was in the early 1980s, and there is a thing called rating inflation, and rating inflation accounts for quite a bit these days. So there were people back then I beat handily who are like world beaters now, and back then they were rated higher than I was, and I beat them. So I don't try to judge myself based on performance, which is probably what everybody would like and what I would like as well, but I don't really have the time or inclination. Some players after 20 years plus, they just get better. They disappear and come back, and they've kept up, and you can some notable examples come to mind. So as far as the accomplishments I've had, people questioning who's this or what's that and is that real, I have signatures. People sign my scorecards. So yes, they're all there and it's all real. And I gave up serious chess in favor of life. I didn't give up chess for life. I'm still playing chess. I play blitz chess here and there, but I traded it in for a very good life, and it's treated me really well and worked out better than I could possibly have imagined, or frankly any chess player I've ever met or seen. So the last point is, there are conflicting things that happen to people who play chess. And if you study Paul Keres, and I got to meet the man, he is a prince of a human being. He was universally loved, absolutely adored by his peers as well. A gentleman, a wonderful, accepting person who would take time to speak with you. On the other hand, there's somebody like Botvinnik who found it necessary pretty much to motivate himself by hating whoever his opponent was going to be in the next match. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but this is not the kind of thing we want to, deal with in life. And, the lifeblood of chess hinges on a number of lowly rated individuals who turn into organizers in general. They become, good organizers, and they're great at that, and they love the game, and they're devoted to it, and I can hardly think of one that has a decent rating. They're almost like groupies in some cases, and I don't really want to dampen their spirits. They're the lifeblood of chess. I like these people, and dealing with that kind of mentality and going to bat with that is not something that I want to deal with in life, and I really don't want to read it. Egos are absolutely out of control in the chess world. I had a person once in an industrial league match. I think I mentioned I played club chess, and our team would travel to various corporations who all fielded teams full of their own, like, research scientists and engineers and PhDs and this, that, and the other. I played first board on our team. Well, in one particular venue, we had to take our boards because not all these places had, like, boards and sets and clocks. I took a board, and it was a beautiful inlaid wooden board that my father made. My father made me a couple chess boards. He was kind of like an amateur woodworker type. He got enjoyment from that, and I have them to this day, and they're treasures. And I'm going to hand them down. But this particular one had a couple flaws in it. It wasn't perfect work, and it was pointed out by my opponent that they couldn't possibly play on such a board. It was just too confusing for them, and they caused a really big stink about it, a huge issue. Can't play this. We ended up playing on a cardboard fold-out board with plastic pieces. I had the good tournament pieces, and if you could overlook the fact that this board had a couple imperfections where the squares, which were made out of wood, were not of completely uniform color, but they were close enough, and they weren't anything like each other. I mean, the whites and the browns were different. I played thousands of games on this board that nobody ever complained about. And it's kind of like a big traveling set that's tournament size. It's got made up into a box where you can actually enclose the pieces in it. This person raised such a stink that it was almost an embarrassment, really. And we proceeded to play a game, and lo and behold, after about 15 moves, it was a very strange situation where there was capture, recapture, a long series of things that looked like it was going to end with an even exchange. And I was able to move a bishop, and as I recall, it was a bishop to something like f5 that attacked his queen on e4 in the middle of the board. And his queen had no retreat, had no place to go on the entire board in the middle game, trapping his queen for a minor piece. At which point he stared at it for like 20 minutes and resigned. And this person eventually became practically a lifelong friend. Whenever I went to a tournament or anyone else, he would come running over to me, and was like, it was the whole world of embarrassment unwound, when, the realities of chess sunk in. And, I don't want to, go through interchanges with individuals like this, and, the egos and the sensitivities and the sensibilities, and that's why I disabled content in terms of what the user community is able to add. So that's just a word of explanation. I'd rather be a Keras. So hope that explains things for you folks. Bye-bye.